Hey,
Hey,
how do I turn this thing off? I don't want all. Hey, everybody. Um,
what you mean all of the
yeah. Like, how in the world did I get all that on there?
all of the grids? It's in your settings.
Okay, so I'm in my settings now. Okay, say one guess. And I go back. Okay, so I don't know why is it asking for. Oh, okay, so let me do this.
You see?
I know what it is. Okay. It should be just me and you, but it's not. Mm.
Right, but I mean, you don't. So, like, let's say for if somebody was like wanting to get on, you have the ability to say yes or no. You know what I mean? Just because there's a lot of people up, like spots up there, doesn't mean you have to fulfill them.
Okay, got it. Okay. Cause girl, I hit a button and I don't even know what I hit.
You might have hit cause there's like split, there's like 1 and 2, and you got multiple grids, and you got 4 grids, so you probably just clicked one. That's fine. All right. You wanna bring us in, introduce us?
Yeah. Let's give it another 5 minutes and then I will.
Okay. Ooh, I've already had a day. I've already had a day. It's only 2 o'clock.
As it always goes though, right? It's always that way. Unfortunately.
What you eat today? What you eating? I mean, right now.
I just got some food. That's it. Just so, you know, I won't be like famished when I get off. Cause this morning I went and had breakfast, but you know, I eat like a little, just
A little bit.
size of my fist, yeah, girl, and I be full. So I got over half of my breakfast left, but I wanted some fruit so I don't feel like I'm famished while being on live. That's all. Cause you know when you talk a lot, you know what I'm saying. Sometimes it can definitely pull all your energy down.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, come on in, come on in, come on in, come on in. Come on in. So five after I'll introduce us. Oh, where you at? Cause I don't hear the kids.
I'm in the office. So listen, before we get on,
Like I'm like, where you at,
I was
girl? I
trying
don't
to,
hear them kids.
I was trying to get ready, which I didn't have to do too much because I was already like, I had clothes on or whatever, but it's
Right.
fighting over toys, and I'm just like, in the bed, everybody, in the bed. Toss them, literally.
Anybody that's on, can you please share the live out? It's greatly appreciated. Um, we want to get as many listening ears in as we possibly can. We always know that we have watchers on the outside of the live. They could just come in. I mean, you don't have to be outside watching. I'm harmless. We're harmless, right?
Let me close this.
Totally harmless. Okay. So welcome to the Brown Culture Conversations. This particular platform or this particular experience is being led by me and my only daughter, Ashley Michaela. So Ashley came up with this idea, about 3 years ago, 4 years ago, doing our conversations. So we have really, really deep, intense conversations, and I talked to her about life things or whatever, and she asked my opinion about it, but I always speak from a place of experience, right? And so she was like, Mom, maybe we should do like a podcast, this advice could help somebody else. And so I was like, you know what? You're right. And so we finally got around to it. Hence the Brown Culture Conversations. And so this platform is a platform that is geared towards encouraging, uplifting, inspiring people, because we all go through life experiences. We all go through stuff that, has taught us lessons. And so this is me speaking from my experience, right? But also my wisdom in the life lesson that I had to learn. And I've had to learn a lot of lessons in life. So I just want to give someone a listening ear in a safe space to be able to know that you're not alone, that what you've been through, somebody else has been through it, okay? Hear me, right? So, and to give you some wisdom and to tell you how I viewed it and how I got through it. And so that's what this platform is really about. And so Ashley has developed some questions that she's going to ask her mom. And we had a conversation last week. And so, I was like, I want to really get through the content that we have. And then, later on in the week, I was like, nah, you need to let people ask their questions and so that they can feel like they're heard, but also get the answers that they're looking for. And this is what this platform is about. So if you have a question, okay, you can drop it in the chat, and at a certain time throughout the live, Ashley will prompt me to answer your question. So yeah, let's get into it. Ashley?
You want me to start off with asking questions?
Well, introduce yourself, girl. Hey, y'all, come on in.
My name is Ashley, Ashley Coleman. I'm my mom's only daughter. I see a lot of podcasts, like all over YouTube, or, people just sharing their thoughts and opinions on certain topics. And so because, my mom has been through a lot of different things that she can teach people, I also thought it would be great to have a perspective of Gen Z generation, being able to connect with people in my age bracket, but also just sharing some of the things that I've learned even in like my 26 years being here. So yeah, I'm super excited. This is our second live. The first live was hosted from my page. This one will be hosted from my mom's page, just so that we're reaching a broader audience, not just some people that's from like following me or would be attracted to my page, but everybody. And then eventually we'll segue into like YouTube and just things like that. So as we get bigger. But is this Red Table Talk 2.0?
I'll answer this. So Red Table 2.0. Okay, so I'll be very candid. So what you're going to get from me, so that everybody understands who I am, you're going to get authenticity from me. Okay. You're going to get that space where, something that somebody wouldn't necessarily tell you that took place in their life or something that has happened. You're going to get the real. So if you want to call it Red Table 2.0, let's go. Because my job here is to make sure that you understand, not the fluff, okay? Because the main purpose of this page is to help somebody come out of the spaces and places that they've been in a loop. And to, get a light bulb to come on and say, hey, you don't got to be there. You don't got to do it that way. How about you try it this way? Because this is how I tried it. And it's up to you to decide what you want to do. So if you want to call it Red Table 2.0, let's go.
I like that Red Table Talk 2.0. You know that Red Table was Jada Pickett, Willow Smith.
Yep, I know.
Mom.
Yep.
That triangular, but the three generations. It would have been so beautiful if grandma on here. Yeah, but she passed, And that's okay, but because she's still with us. Trust me, she's still with us, like in every area. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we can get started. Mama, however you want to do it. You want to start with questions, or you just want to start with our topic? I know our topic is still on the topic of marriage, right?
Correct. So last week I gave kind of the beginning of. So here's the history behind that, because I know some of you may not have been on the last one. I was married for 27 years. Okay. And so the beginning of the last live we were on, I talked about the beginning stage of the marriage. Okay. We talked a little bit about the relationship, my experience, what I went through, how it made me feel. And so we could just pick up from there, Kayla. So I know we only got through one question. So what's another question that we had about marriage? Where your book at, girl?
I thought I had it in the drawer. I would keep it in the drawer, but Okay, so I think I remember one of the questions. So one of the questions was, one of my questions was, if you could do it all over again, like literally start from the absolute beginning, what would you do differently? What would you do differently? And do you think that your life or your experiences would have turned out better? I'm not going to say better or worse, but I'm just going to say better.
Okay. If I had to do it all over again, I would say, would I have done it different? Yes. Absolutely. And here's the reason why. Because when me and your dad got together, we were in our early 20s, right? So again, he came from a Southern background. I came from a Southern background. And in that background, they did not talk to their children. They did not sit down and have conversations that made sense. They didn't give the type of guidance that they should have had, okay? Given their children. So I believe, from my experience, and I can only speak from my side of the spectrum, is that if I had what I give you all, what I give other people, how I show up with guidance and wisdom, and compassion and understanding with other people, if I had that in my childhood up to my 20s and on, okay, I believe that I would not have made some of the mistakes or even the decisions that I chose to take. But because my parents were not the parents that set you down and had the conversation like we're having a conversation right now, they didn't do that. They're Southern. They come from South. So like, it was like, what's stay in this house, what's done in this house, stay in this house type energy, right? It wasn't you sitting me down and telling me, daughter, this is the kind of man that you should be looking for. This is the kind of man that and don't get me wrong. Again, I want people to understand that this is not a platform to bash anyone. I can only speak from my experience and what I felt and what I went through. But I believe that if I was told some of the things that I had to learn the hard way on my journey, I wouldn't have done a lot of things. Now, would you all still be here? I'm sure you probably would, right? But one of the things that I had to learn in growing through some of the stuff I went through, that there is always, both parties are always at fault. Mm-hmm. Do you hear me? Mm-hmm. Okay? Both parties are always at fault. Because it's either something you could have done or something you did. Right? Okay? And so when you grow to this level where I am a mature woman, you understand that. Right? Now, from a place of who I met and who I fell in love with, I wouldn't have done it any different. But I didn't know that I was falling in love with someone who was not where they needed to be, which caused issues and problems and stuff to happen in our lives, right? Now, if I had a healed version, okay, if I was a healed version, then I wouldn't have done anything different. You get what I'm saying? The healed version of myself. But because who I was with, he wasn't, I wasn't, that's caused a lot of problems, right? But that goes back to that piece where it says that love is not enough. I want us to hear that today. Love is not enough. You can fall in love a million times over. In no growth and no what you need will not happen in that relationship. Mm-hmm. It won't happen in that relationship. All you're going to have is a feeling, but no action of what love really is, because love is an action word. You won't have that. Why? Because you're not at that level to understand even what that is. And so, yeah, if I was healed, yeah, no problem, right? But not the person that I was and the person that he was at that time. No, I wouldn't have done it over. No.
So do you believe that, like, the way that, do you believe that the way that somebody is raised can potentially affect their marriage or the relationships that they tend to get into? Specifically raised like values, or, just kind of like the way things just were around the house, the way it was ran. How do you think that, they played a role in the way that the marriage kind of segued, and you know what I'm saying? How you guys tended to show up in that marriage with each other, with your children. What do you think about that?
So his background, he was raised with his mom and dad. He was raised in a home with both of them. They were raised in church. I was raised in a home with both of my parents. I was raised in church. So the background was the same. Right?
Right.
So listen, because the background was the same, just because you have the same background, if the person themselves is not where they need to be, you will have a different result. It's an individualized thing, right? Because just because I'm raised in, here's the example. Just because I'm raised with a Kujic background doesn't mean that background will necessarily affect my relationship with that person. Mm-hmm. If that person is raised in a Kujic background, it's not going to affect necessarily my relationship. It's an individual thing. Right? And here's what I'm saying. So people get into relationships and they have all of this stuff that has happened in their childhood, right? In their young adults, in their life before they meet that person. We take baggage into a relationship. So if you're taking that baggage into the relationship, then how can I even help? How can I show up how you need me to be if I came with a bunch of baggage, right? And so that's the part that we got to get, is that if a person is coming with all this baggage and they're expecting you to carry their baggage, then I'm telling you it's going to be failure, and more failure.
Yeah.
You have to have, right, two people that are coming for the same thing and they are their best version of themselves. Mm-hmm. That's that part right there. However, you can have a person that has been through hell and high water and they come into the relationship with good intentions, and that person that they hook with, right, been through hell and high water, but their intentions, because they've been hurt so much, is not where it needs to be. You got problems. You got friction. And remember, he had been married prior to me. I was the one that was green. Before him, I had only had 2 relationships. When he had many. And that's that part where I talk about you've got to be able to understand who you're dealing with. What have you signed up for? I was green as they would come. I was a good girl. I was a good girl. I went to school, I went to work, you know. However, he had had another life prior to me. So when we got together, that what he knew and that I didn't know, he had a strong influence over me.
That's a
So that's why I
pretty,
said
pretty
this
heavy
doesn't have
word.
anything to do with so much how he was raised in his household, because when you get grown, or the understanding is, let me say that. The understanding is when you get grown, that the direction in which you take will be your own. Not saying that how you were raised is not going to affect your household. It's not going to affect that person. Oftentimes it does. But the understanding and the naivety which I had is that I was getting a grown man. I was getting a man that appeared to have and be confident in himself. But later on down the line, I found it to be different. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense. I definitely, think that the way that somebody is raised. Now, I'm not even gonna say always, because I think I have to agree with you on individuality, right? And I'm only saying that because there are a lot of kids who grow up in poverty,
True.
who who choose, not to be violent, drug dealers, robber. You know what I'm saying? The whole 9 yards, the statistics. Parents don't have a car, so they walk into school. They're in homeless shelters, and they're straight A students. They go off to college to do this, to do that. You know what I'm saying? So it gets to a point where it's much deeper than just, well, this is where I grew up. Yeah, a lot of people grew up in those areas, those environments. It has a lot to do with choice and what you rather do, with your life. We can't cry over spilled milk forever. Yes, I understand that, this and that happened to you, and I get it, and, understand, but at the same time, you have to choose for yourself. You can't just be, blame shifting. But, okay, awesome.
Right. And so I'll add to that. And so that's where I started to wake up at. So that's where I started to realize that, yeah, I don't like this shit. you know, around 25, 26, when you came along around that time, you know what I'm saying? I started to wake up and say, yeah, I don't like this shit, because I'm somebody who I don't know. And I really feel like I didn't come to know who this woman is way on down the line. But I started to wake up then, because I started to understand that I had an individuality, right? So like you young and you trying to figure it out, and you trying to, figure out what's happening. But what I'll say, the advice to that is, never allow somebody to cause you to not be able to identify who you are. You are individual, okay? Outside of that person that you've connected with. So if you believe that everything you do, how you think, how you speak, how you move, has to be connected to that person, you don't have an identity. And so that's a life lesson I had to learn. And I started to wake up, and I started to get identity then. Because when he got with me, I was in school. I was in college. I was working. I had my own life. But when I got with him, it started to change. Right?
Yeah, he had a lot of influence over the things that you decided to do for yourself.
Correct.
Why do you
So,
think?
yeah. So, say it again.
What made him have that much influence? That's a lot of that's a lot of influence. And I know young, naive, yes, green,
But the truth of the matter, and I said I was going to be authentic, okay? I gave him that. He didn't take it from me. I allowed that.
freely.
You understand what I'm saying? I allowed that. But guess what? I woke up from that.
Yeah.
I woke up from it. And that's the life lesson, is that you cannot allow someone to impose their identity or who they think you should be on you. Be who you want to be. Be you, because guess what? Just because you come in a covenant married, that don't mean that you don't have an identity. That don't mean that you don't have an individualism. You're an individual by yourself. That doesn't mean that. And so when I woke up and I started to do things that was for me, okay? Because when I met him, I didn't drive. So the first thing I was going to do was get my driver's license. I got him 6 months after you was born. Okay?
Why? After I was born?
Yes. So y'all know, so everybody know, my daughter gonna hear some stuff that she don't know about on this live. She heard last week. I know it shell shocked her, something I said last week, but yeah, 6 months after you were born, I purchased my own car, and I got my license because I started to see in the beginning of the relationship that there was a bit of how can I say it? It was more like a passive control. Like you really not trying to act like you are, but if I gotta ask you for this and I gotta ask you for that and I got to do this and I can't do this without asking you, it's control. It's manipulation. You get what I'm saying? That's what it was.
Did you have to ask, like truly ask, or was it like I have to ask you because I can't get it for myself because of the situation that I'm in, or was it?
Yeah, so basically, yeah, that's what it was. Because you got to think about it, right? When you came, you were the third baby. So the position or jobs that I worked, they wasn't full-time jobs, they was part-time jobs. Because I had to still take care of my kids. So my resources was limited. You get what I'm saying? So therefore, if I didn't have it, then who else was I going to go to get it? You get what I'm saying? But then at the same time, other stuff had taken place. At this time, you know what I'm saying? Some stuff had went on prior to that. So me in my mind is saying like, oh, wait a minute. This feels kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I don't want to, feel like somebody is keeping me from being who I want to be, right? Who I need to be, who I exert as being. So like, this is somebody who came into my life. We got together, we got married, and I was living a whole independent life before I met him. And that changed because then children started to come. You get what I'm saying? Children started to come. So I had limited resources. I had limited movement. So if he wasn't taking me somewhere, I wasn't going. You understand what I'm saying? Control. So I had to understand that thing, right? So I had to start to dig myself up out of it. Okay? So I gave it to him. But when I figured out that it didn't feel good and the way it was making me feel, I need to figure that out because that's not where I want to be. You get what I'm saying? It's okay to be in love. It's okay to be with someone. It's okay to spend your time with them. But if you need to do something outside of them, and he hated to go to the mall. He hated to go somewhere where there was a lot of people. Oh, he had an attitude. So if he wasn't taking me, how I'm finna go?
That just is another topic to talk about later down. Later down the line.
No, you can bring, if it has anything to do with the marriage wise, you can bring it up. Bring it up.
Well, so let me say, I know that like autism has been like this topic of discussion for a while now, especially since COVID. And like in the Black community, child, we don't believe in this person got this, or grandma and them could have been like, oh yeah, he just a little different, or yeah, he just a little special. For me, I kind of feel like a lot of the times when people get in marriages, or unions with each other, there's a lot of undiagnosed stuff. Soon as you said he don't like to go to places where there's a lot of people, that sounded just like early on slight neurodivergency, because a lot of times that's overstimulating. Now, will people talk about it? No, I'm not saying that he is. I'm just saying that it reminded me of situations like that where there's a lot of people, specifically Black people, who there are things that are going on with them and they don't get the help, and then it turns into a bigger problem, a major problem. And so if you have something that's going on with you and it's unknown, and you're with somebody and that's supposed to be your partner, how are they going to know how to help you? Or how are they going to know how to show up for you in that way where they really need you the most?
So you brought me into a segue. Okay, so this is okay, so it was supposed to have been brought up. Okay, so one of the biggest issues that we experienced in our marriage was he was not a communicator. What do you mean by that? When it was time to talk about hard things, when it was time to deal with hard things, he has a very avoidant personality, right? So I am the kind of woman where I am highly intelligent. I thrive off of emotional intelligence, right? And I can remember just feeling like just depleted. And I didn't know at that time where, what it was. Again, I was busy working, going to school, and trying my best to raise my children and trying to be a wife, right? So I didn't have a lot of time to sit and research. And then the internet back in that time, I ain't ancient, y'all, just so you know.
Back in that time.
Right. People didn't push the internet like they push it now, right? Like everybody's on the internet. You're doing this on the internet, doing that. It was not that way. So he was a very avoidant person, okay, versus me. I love to communicate. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to have that conversation. You got to know I love to communicate, because I'm out here telling all my business right now, right? So I love to communicate. So not being able to connect in that level of emotional intelligence throughout our marriage, and the more that I grew, he didn't. I'm just talking about what I know, what I experienced. And so every year, every time we celebrate an anniversary, kid you not, I'm very, very like, toot, right? I want to talk about how we can get better. What can I do? This is where I see where you can get better. He ain't want to have them kind of conversations. Oh, no.
Most times people who are, I'm not saying he is, but most times people who are neurodivergent like certain spaces because it's comfortable for them. They have gotten so, you ever met a child who's on the spectrum and they're so fast, Malachi, for example, fascinated with airplanes. He talks your ears off about airplanes. Do he want to talk about anything else? Probably not. Probably not, but that is his comfort zone. That's his comfort zone. That's what makes him feel good. That's what makes him confident for him to be able to share and talk and just be expressive.
But then how can you connect, me being a woman that's highly intelligent, every without a doubt, every avenue of my life, I've done some type of learning. I've been to school, I've been to 3 different colleges, and I'm saying, I had all these different things. And this is where I tell people all the time. People used to say, oh, you two are so opposites attract. You're so different. Yeah, we were different, and I love that man. Literally, okay? I loved him to have 2 kids with him. Believe that.
I know that's real.
Believe that, okay? To have 2 kids with him. And so because I am that way, and even now the secular profession that I hold is a big profession. Okay, what I do is huge. Okay, and so it's because I thrive at a high intellectual level, and so when I was in that space with him, I was so intellectually starved because he couldn't have the conversations that I needed. He couldn't have the type of he didn't have the kind of communication that I needed. Okay, so how do you? And this is the question for the chat. How do you have a relationship with someone who does not possess that, but you do? That's the question for the chat.
Oh, there's a wasp in here. You heard
It's your friend.
No, it's not.
And so the truth of the matter, you can't. And that's the honest. You can't. Because you're not going to connect on an emotional level. It will always be surface level. You will not. Thank you, Miss Keely. You can't, right? But that's what I'm saying. So that's my testament today, is that's why nobody can tell me who I am and why I do what I do. Because I know without a doubt that I stayed too long in a space where I was literally starving me. Don't do that. I can speak to that now because I'm out of it, and I've learned, and I've elevated, and I've gotten some healing, and I've walked through some stuff. Don't stay in a place where you're being starved. And I told myself every day, I just need to stay until my kids get grown. I just need to stay to Kayla. It was always about Kayla. Kayla was the baby. And I'm talking about Ashley.
That's my nickname. That's my nickname.
You know, Ashley's always been excelled, you know what I'm saying, very highly intelligent like her mom. And so I wanted to be so supportive, and I always said to myself I needed them to be able to be comfortable enough to grow enough where they can do it on their own. And so that was my prayer all the time, is that just let Kayla get out of college and I'm going to be out of here. I always said it because that I just couldn't do no more. And you're right, you can't. You just absolutely can't. And that's why nobody can make me feel bad about what I've been through in my 20-some year marriage. Nobody can make me feel bad about that. And you should not allow nobody to make you feel bad about what you go through. Period. Because we all got to what? Grow through it to get through it. Because if you stop growing, you'll never get through it. So I learned a lot of life lessons in that thing. A lot. So it was avoidant. It was no communication. It was more like, okay, this is what we gonna do. You know what I'm saying? If I suggest something, then no. It was a lot of, I'm gonna do what I want to do, whether you like what I do.
We're gonna relocate so he can come kill this wasp, because I ain't sitting here. I'm so listen. I don't know if I'm allergic, Lord, or what. I don't need no problems right now.
Yeah, you don't.
So it's in the window up there, so I'm gonna go relocate.
So you got to be sure about what you're looking for, what you need. You know what I'm saying? If a person shows up in your life and it ain't who you know is good for you, let it fly. Don't stay there. I'm telling you, you're gonna regret it. Here's somebody who's been through it, know what it feels like, know what I had to suffer through, know what I had to heal through, know how many years of therapy I've been in, years of therapies I've been in just to get through it. To come on the other side of it, to understand who I was. Because I didn't have anybody talking to me. I didn't have anybody speaking life into me. I didn't have anybody understanding. A lot of times we get with people and you're in a marriage and you have generations of people who've been in marriages and it's toxic, it's not healthy, and they tell you to stay and all this weird shit. I will never tell someone to stay in a toxic ass relationship. No. Get out. Get out. Get out. Because I'm telling you, it's not going to get any better. I see you got a guess.
I really tried to avoid them. I did.
I was told multiple times by multiple people, oh, God honors marriage and and okay, absolutely he does. But I don't see that he honors toxic marriage. Where that's at? Where does it say he honors toxic? Where does he honor unequally yoked? No. Where does it say that? In fact, he said you must be equally yoked. And the measurement that people give is equal yoked is you in the church and they in the church. That makes y'all yoked. A lie.
No, that's not true.
I'm just telling you what I went through. I'm just sharing what I went through. I'm just sharing my experience so that we understand. Because this is the loops that other people crap keep you in. Period. If you and that person is in a marriage and you all don't align, same beliefs, same actions, same love, same care, reciprocation is important. It can't be one person giving everything. It can't be.
Unless they agree.
The other part right here, we talked a little bit about last week, is that if you're in a marriage, you're in a relationship, and you're constantly catching your person, you're constantly going through third party crap, I'm going to tell you right now, run. Run, don't walk. Run, don't walk. They not changing. They not changing. They not changing. I went through a lot of that. Sure do. And listen, I ain't scared to say it. I ain't ashamed to talk about it because that ain't me no more. But that was the unhealed version of me. I would never let do me that way again in life. That's the unhealed version of me. I ain't that girl no more. Nope. Am not. Run. Because that person is not going to be who you want them to be. It has to be some growth on their part. Or they just may be who they gonna be. But you stand and you doing all this different stuff ain't finna make them be nobody but themselves. It will not be a change.
What if the person is a slow grower?
So explain slow grower to me.
I don't know. I'm just saying, what if there's a person that's a slow grower? So let's say
no, that's okay. That's okay. 27 years and you slow growing? Bull crap. So this is the other part because I'm glad you brought it up. If a person wanted to, they will.
Oh, that's real.
You understand what I'm saying? It is men who have showed up in one virgin for one woman and then changed the virgin for another one. Got it all together. You understand what I'm saying? So don't allow somebody to keep you, get all your good years and get all your good, and then they take their flu-footed ass somewhere else and acting a whole right. Don't do it. Don't do it. Once you understand who you are, but again, you have to go back to who you are. I'm talking about self-reflection. You got to get you together. Once you get you together, can't nobody play with you like that. He could play with me like that because I was an unhealed version of myself. That's why he could play with me like that. I was 3 kids locked in. Come on, talk about it. 3 years, 3 kids locked in. When I met him, I had one son. He was 6 months. I got him. We started dating when my son was 6 months. Okay?
That's interesting.
What's interesting? Speak on it. Speak on it.
That you guys started dating when Dawn was 6 months.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Oh, I hear you. Yeah. So what's interesting about that?
Because there's so many. You know, you got the red pill, blue pill men now. Don't date her. She got kids and she's toxic and she has she's toxic. She has children before you meet her, and and da.
Let me tell you something. Every person that I have ever, okay, the two that I had before him, one of them is already gone. He's gone on the globe. The other one, I'm still friends with him now. I am that girl. I was that girl then. I am that woman now. Okay? I show up with integrity, character, love. Okay? I am authentic. You understand what I'm saying? So when a person deals with me and they go about their business, baby, they miss me. Cause I am that one. So it wasn't about Dun for say. He knew what he was getting. Okay? He knew what he was getting. I might have been green to the streets, but I wasn't green to nothing else. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So the culture now, you know what I'm saying? That's a whole nother thing. The culture now versus the culture back in, Kayla, is totally different. Mm-hmm. What's out here now is pee, boo-boo, and snot, and everything else in the water. I just can't make it up. I just can't make it up. But that's why you got to show up your authentic, healed self to be able to weed through some of the garbage that you see here and run into now. You can't show up full of mess and you ain't took care of your own self. Because they out here, they playing games. I won't say he was playing games. I'll say that he was an unhealed person. Because his heart, he has a good heart. He's a loving person. He'll help any and everybody, but he had baggage that he had not dealt with. And that baggage caused him not to show up his best version of himself. That's what the issue was for him. You talking about somebody who would go to work and take care of their family? Oh yeah, I got to give him his flowers because he was that one. But when it came down to emotional connection, when it came down to intellectual emotional intelligence, he had none. That's why I asked the question earlier when I was like, do you think that the way that you're raised can play a part in your marriage? Because 9 times out of 10, what you were lacking as a child, because it starts there. 9 times out of 10, what you're lacking as a child can segue into your young adult years and then your full adult years when you start to get into intimate relationships with other people. Because if there was no one in your life, or minimum people in your life as a child to show you love or affection or how to, regulate your emotions or what you should do if you're upset or anything like that, if it was minimum to no people, you're not going to know how to do that. When you become an adult, you're going to have to learn all over again. So you have to learn it. It's like starting from square one all over again. In that part, you might grow biologically, you might grow in your body, in your limbs, your anatomy, but in your mind, in your emotions, you are a child, an embryo, if you will, because that's not something that was displayed to you. I know you was like, we both grew up in the church. We both had our parents and you were right. Mm-hmm. But what happened in the house? Because that's the outside stuff. That is the surface of what the family looks like and what they display. But what was happening on the inside? It's just like an apple. That apple could be real shiny on the outside with the wax on it. And you cut it open, it's completely rotten. And it's ruined and you can't eat it. Mm. And so you're talking about the nature versus nurture. Versus nurture. Yep, we're going back to psychology because I'm in it. But actually, it's a psychology major family.
you know I got to,
But it makes all the sense in the world, right? So you're right about that. What took place, but I can't speak for his level, but I can speak for mine. I know what I went through. I know how my childhood was, and it wasn't pretty. Oh yeah, it ain't pretty. And I know it's gonna be some people that's gonna probably peeping right now live, hoping I don't talk about it. It wasn't pretty. But I wouldn't trade it for nothing in the world because it helped me build the building blocks to the woman that I am today, the person that I am today. And so who you're talking about and what you're talking about is that inner child needs to be healed in him in order for him to be able to grow to be the man that he can be, right?
There's no way, and I literally mean no way, he will ever be able to show up in that way. It's not possible. That's just something you can't push past. You can't jump from A all the way to Z. What about the other ones in between?
So then also, right? So like I've never been the type of female, I'm not that kind of female now that thrives on manipulation and hurting people and using people for my own gain. In fact, I'm the opposite. I'm a empath. You know what I'm saying? People flock to me. And I have conversations and talk to people and give them wisdom and hear them out and support them emotionally. And so it was a lot of that I had to do with him, emotionally support him so I was pouring, but I wasn't being poured back into. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And so it depleted me so much. So then you think also that since that took place, then every other relationship behind me, he will always be, if he get the opposite of me, that person who's manipulative and low down and dirty, then he gonna get drugged through the rug then, right? Oh my goodness. Baby, you got to be more careful. But that's the reason why I've always did what we call self-reflection. And I do it so much now, like I literally every day I got to make sure, you know what I'm saying, I meditate and I think hard, think deep. I'm a deep thinker, you know what I'm saying? How am I showing up? You know what I'm saying? Did I handle that right? Did I operate in this right? And it's because I want to be the best version of myself. But even back then, when I did do self-reflection, it kept me on the straight and narrow. It kept me moving in the direction that I need to move in without harming somebody else. And so you have to go back to your inner child. You have to go back to that space of healing. I started working on my inner child. It was about 2 years ago when I started doing the shadow work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you start talking about the shadow work book and everything. Yeah, we end up getting it together.
OMG. You hear me? OMG. You people say, because we have to think about it. We are duality. We are light and dark. Okay? We are light side, we have a dark side. It is what it is. Don't let nobody tell you that it's all light and love and, and pigtails and rainbows and unicorns, and that's some bull, okay? I'm going to be honest with you all day long. There's a light and a dark side to you, okay? And shadow work causes you to go into what? Your self-consciousness to deal with that dark side. And it ain't no joke. I don't like her. I don't like the dark side. And I tell people all the time, I am the sweetest person you want to meet. I'm charismatic. I'm loving. I'm giving. But baby, do not do that because you're not going to like her, baby.
You didn't like the dark side either.
Yeah, you hear my daughter, don't you? Oh my goodness. But I dealt with the little girl. And we're going to talk more at another time. I don't want to go into that because that right there is a whole nother. The whole chat probably going to be crying or whatever. I don't even want to talk about that right now. But anywho, with self-reflection and figuring out who you are is so important. Why you have to do that? That's why I'm an adamant believer of staying single until you're ready to really connect with someone who matches you. Connect with somebody from a space of healing. You've healed, which means I'm not going to bring my dirty laundry over to your front door and drop it and expect you to clean it up. People want to be married, but they don't want to do what it takes to be married. And so that's what I got. That's what I felt like my experience with him was. You know, there was a woman when he worked at the truck stop. There was the one in Arkansas he sent flowers to. Do I need to keep going?
No, because it's really that one. That one would have sent me. I mean, you know.
Listen, but listen to what I'm saying. You know, and this is everybody's experience. It's one thing my mom used to say. She says, when you get tired, ain't nobody gonna have to tell you what to do. And I can't tell you what to do. Right? And the other part of the situation was, you know, you stay in a situation so long. That's why it's so important to watch who you talk to. You know, watch who you get advice from. Because I have had people say a lot of different things that when all this was going on. Oh, you know, nobody's perfect. Oh, y'all need to work together. You know, y'all need to work on y'all marriage. Oh, y'all need to have counseling and all of this shit. We should have had counseling before we got married. If that was the case. And then we did have counseling and it still didn't matter. And what I found out and what I realized is that the little boy in him never healed, right? And so he oftentimes felt very insecure when it came down to me. Cause I got that big girl energy, baby. Once I figured out who I was showing up who I was. You understand? Meaning when I walk in the room, yeah, people know me. They should. You understand what I'm saying? I don't just talk, I live that shit. I walked the streets of Chicago and did a lot of stuff for a lot of people. So I am that girl. I am that one. And so he couldn't handle it. He couldn't handle it. Goes back to being unequally yoked. That's why, listen, I know what's for me and I know what's not for me. But I want to talk about what happened with that girl in Texas. She found out that her husband was at the woman's house. She went to Texas, knocked on the lady door, and said, can you send my husband out? He was in there. The lady telling her, like, yeah, you better get on away from my door, blah, 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 blah. She said, all I want you to do is tell my husband to come out. That lady opened that door, and she shot that lady. Listen. Again, what she went through, I've been through. But you ain't never heard me say I went to somebody's house. I ain't doing it. She lost her life because she was running up behind somebody who had the nerve. If he was big and bad to go and be with somebody else, he didn't love you anyway. He didn't. He didn't love her. We got to be careful with that. We got to be real careful with that. And the reason why I say that is because when I did decide to leave my 27-year marriage, I packed all my shit up and I left. I never forget it. I had a dream, and I'm big on dreams. One of my gifts. So before some stuff comes to the physical, it will show it to me in the dream state. And so I had this dream that, and I'm going to call him Mr., and I'm talking about my ex-husband. That Mr., and we were still married, separated, had been dealing with this lady on his job, and they showed it to me just clear as day. And I called him and I said, okay. I said, so I guess you're going to file them papers then, right? He said, what you talking about? I thought we just split up and we just trying to figure it out, you know, da 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 da. I said, well, I know you've been messing with somebody at your job. Who told you that? Now, I had only had a dream. Okay? He said, who told you that? I said, don't worry about who told me. I said, you messing with somebody on your job. And when I said messing with, me, you doing inappropriate things with this lady. You still married to me. And if we are on a separation, then how you doing inappropriate with this lady right here? He denied. I cannot make this up. This particular Sunday, and we were still split up, I went to church. He went to church. We were standing up there talking, and the bass guy walked over to us. And he was like, hey, I saw y'all at the concert last night. He said, man, it was so crowded. I wanted to get over there to y'all, but, I couldn't even get to you. Baby!
Pop, honey. Hey.
Listen.
Ooh.
Listen.
What did he say?
Hold on, they make me do this puzzle. Drag the puzzle piece.
Oh, okay. Oh, so it won't cut off, I think.
Yeah. You could have brought him for a pack of bubble gum.
What did he say? Did he say anything?
He was doing the small talk with the dude. And I'm standing up there looking at him, ain't said a word. Never that. I'm too classy for that. Most females would have snapped out and went in right there. I ain't never been that female. You gotta push me to that level. You know what I'm saying? For me to go off on you like that. I said, so that's what we on, huh? Okay.
Oh, no.
Yep. And you know who it was, right? Okay. Okay. Okay? I can't make it up, baby. And this is why I used to tell people all the time. You cannot do stuff to me and I'm not going to know about it. I used to tell people this all the time. Listen, I got friends right now to tell you. I've told them some stuff was going to come to fruition and it came. Listen, I don't play because I don't bother nobody. So right then and there, I could have made him eat crow. But you know what I said? I said, that's okay. Because, see, I know who I am, and I know what kind of woman I was, and I know what kind of mother I was, and I know what kind of wife I was. I wasn't that to you. You cannot tell nobody that I was with somebody, that I did something against you, because if you do, you're lying like a dog. So I said, that's okay. And that was cool with me. Guess what I did? Next, I filed for divorce. Oh, it was done for Wanda right there. It wasn't no talking. It wasn't none of that.
I know.
It wasn't none of that. It wasn't none of that. Okay? It wasn't none of that. And what people don't get, and this is something, when I left and went on about my business, guess what? It was a lot of stuff being said about what happened. And it was being said from one point of view, and it wasn't being said from mine. But I never spoke about it. I never disputed the stuff people came back to me and said. None of that. Because like I said on the last slide, I knew that this day would come. Because I was who I said I was. I was who I said I was. I showed up that girl. So when it was time to go through the whole thing, I went through a lot. People don't understand. I went through a lot. And this is why I wanted to share my story with somebody else, is because, listen, you've got to know who you are saying I do to. Okay? I don't take back nothing I experienced. But if I can help somebody else figure it out, I'm that girl. You got to know. Because people will play in your face and play victim and act like they ain't done nothing and all that weird stuff. And they be the main one that don't cause the tower for the whole marriage. He caused the tower. Then turn around and acted a fool with the divorce proceedings. They whole fool ass woman was in the courthouse and the judge had to tell her to get out. I could have said then that I wanted to file what they call it in alienation of marriage because he was dealing with that woman when we were still together.
Yeah.
So I hope he watching. Yeah, I never said it, but I knew about it. Oh yeah, I knew about it. But I also knew, and that's the reason why she whooping that ass on your ass right now. What goes around shall come around. Oh yeah. That's why you're getting that ass whooped by her now. See, people don't understand what karma will do. Whatever you put out to somebody else, they're going to make sure, good God going to make sure that you have that same mirror that you displayed to the person that did nothing to you. So everything she giving to that ass, that's what you were giving to me. And you have to see it for yourself. That manipulation, that control, all of that, yeah. Cookie pot. You getting all that back. So that's the reason why I don't do stuff to people. That's why I don't retaliate. I let you do whatever you want to do, and then I just wait and see. But that's the reason why you need to know who you're saying I do too. Because he's not a bad person, and I want to make that clear today. He ain't a bad person. He's just an unhealed person. And when you unhealed, you toxic as hell. And you walk around with all this stuff on you, and you do stuff to people and not even know you're doing it, and you hurting and mistreating people because you are unhealed. Go heal so that you can be your best version. It was going to come out. I was going to have to tell my story. And I'm telling it now in hopes that somebody else is going to be helped. What else you want to know, Kayla?
That was all for now. I mean, give me 1 second.
Y'all, Kayla over there probably about to choke. About to joke. Cause you don't say mama don't told all the tea and let it all out the bag. Because people was coming up to me asking me, oh yeah, I heard this, or oh yeah, I heard that, or oh yeah, he said this, and oh yeah, he said that, and I never did dispute it one way or the other. I let it fly. Cause I ain't got to explain me. I knew it was gonna come a time where I was gonna have to say something in hopes that what I went through, somebody else won't go through it. That a lesson would be learned.
No, you can definitely pick back up. You can definitely pick back up. Maybe on the same topic. Come next weekend. The kids are flooding the
Well, you know, next weekend is really my birthday weekend, so are we? Oh yeah, we still gonna right? We did say that because yeah, we still because yeah, okay, yeah. Hold on.
Yeah.
Well, I thank you all for joining the Brown Coats conversation today. So we're going to be talking about a lot of different topics. We're going to be talking about, you know, what are some of the topics we're going to be talking about, Kayla?
Everything. Family dynamics. We're going to talk about trauma. And that's just just like a broad topic.
Generational trauma, childhood trauma. Yep.
Everything. Anything
Mental
that
illness
has to do
mental
with
health.
our brain. Right. Especially mental health. Anything that has to do that affects the brown culture. It affects all cultures, but we're just, honing in on on our culture of people, and how we can help, how we can help each other, how we can be there for each other, continue to love on each other, if we're not doing that, and everything, and how to just be better people, all around. Very important. So.
And that's really what it is, guys. That's really what it is. It's about wanting to be the best version of ourselves. And the only way you're going to ever be the best version of yourself is that you first got to recognize that you need to change. That there has to be a change, that there has to be a shift, that there has to be something that's in you that needs to be done different. You cannot be a different version of yourself if you're not willing to look at the ugliness of yourself. And I'm going to be honest about that. If you're not willing to look at it, I'm telling you, you will not change it. You have to be willing to look at it. And that's really what we're willing to do, is to bring the conversation to the table, and to share our experiences and share what we've been through, in hopes that somebody will pick up something, understand something better, hear something that will help them be better. All right, we thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next week on Brown Culture Conversations. Have a great day, guys.
Bye.